Good evening. We have a quorum. It's 6:30. We'll call a planning board meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. Those in attendance for the planning board are Joe Zagrodnik, myself, Jim Maximowski, Kishore Parmar, Bill Dwyer, and Mark Dunn. And Mr. Dwyer, first up for general information.
It's Tom Fancy.
Yes. How are you, Bill?
Good.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So basically, we had spoke earlier last fall, and
Why don't you give a bigger background just for the board as a whole?
sure. Okay, my name's Tom Fancy. I work for Sherman and Frederick, and we're a division of Hancock Associates, and we're preparing an A&R plan for an APR, which is the Agricultural Preservation Restriction. And part of it, there's not enough frontage for 2 lots currently, and they want to divide out barn and house onto one independent lot and then keep the rest into the APR. And it's my understanding that you guys have done this before with a definitive subdivision plan, like a streamlined version of it, just to show we can cut out a bunch of lots, but we don't really want to do that. So in which case you could waive strict compliance with section 81R. So that's kind of the brief history of what we're trying to do. So part of it too, I had sent an email in of the proposed A&R and the proposed definitive subdivision to demonstrate the development possibilities, and where this is not a formal definitive subdivision, I'm just trying to see if this is sufficient for submission.
Are you able to share your screen?
Well, let's give it a shot. We got so currently, okay, share right there. We will share this screen. I apologize. I wasn't sure if you had the plan in hand, so I'm just going to try to grab
Well, I can bring it up if you don't have it. So hang on.
I do, but I just needed to get there. 32, 25, 30 documents, PDF, definitive. Okay. All right. So I have it up. So do you see it now?
Cannot.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, why don't I just bring it up?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
This is the Tolper Farm at 8 Middle Street.
Okay.
Just across from North Lane. And just south of Hadley Place.
All right. So basically that's the potential definitive subdivision plan. And Bill, do you have the A and R that we're actually looking to?
I
submit?
do. Let me see if I can bring that up easily. No. Let me try to do that a different way then. Are you seeing the, that's the definitive, the, and that would be the A and R. Is that showing up on sharing
Yes,
I see it, yeah.
with
Yeah.
lot 1 and lot 2?
Yeah, so this is the APR would be lot 2. And then lot 1 would be the divide out of the existing house and most of the structures. Some of the barn structures would go with the APR for the agricultural use.
So the one previously had a road, so you're assuming a private road as opposed to a subdivision road?
Well, it's my understanding that you guys have done something like this before and you've done so-called a very small subdivision approval.
yeah, but
or
you do
review.
not qualify for a very small subdivision. Oh, very small subdivisions are for all 3 lots or fewer.
Okay, which we can do that as well. It's
Yeah, but you
um,
get less, you'll get less APR money if it's only 3 lots as opposed to the 5 that you showed, I believe, right?
well, I'm not really sure about the whole funding. We're just trying to get this through, and I think 3 lots would be fine. I don't think the funding is different, but that's up to the state. You know, I'm not really sure. They want this approved, so however we can achieve that.
They want what approved? This A and R, or they want the other one approved?
They want the A and R approved. That's all we want is waive strict compliance with its rules and regulations with the frontage.
Well, what's shown in front of us is an A and R. We could approve it.
Correct. That it doesn't have sufficient frontage on lot 2. So that's where it's my understanding that you guys have done a, like I said, very small subdivision, which we could change that definitive plan to 3 lots.
Let me
Ultimately,
bring that one up
Wait a
again.
minute, wait a minute. I'm confused.
Yeah. Is this thing in the aquifer, do we know?
Let me
I-
pull it up.
zoning agriculture residential.
I don't believe so.
All right, so I'm just, I can't see it very well. And Mr. Fancy, my name's Randy Iser. I own Harold Eaton and Associates. I'm one of your fellow surveyors.
Hi, Randy.
And I'm seeing, how much frontage do you have after the A&R lot? How much frontage left after that A&R lot?
66.61 feet.
Okay, so you got enough width for a subdivision road. And if you're not in the aquifer, you only need 30,000 square feet. So you might be able to widen your road and still get your lots in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not looking to get lots. We're just looking to,
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of stuff for the APR, and typically what they want to see is maximize the lots so that they'll increase the value of what they're going to pay for APR. So if it were me, that's what I would try.
so I guess, well, I heard one,
What,
one,
you are not in the aquifer by the aquifer map.
Yeah,
okay.
And how wide is that road you're proposing right now?
It's not, I mean, it's like 62 feet or something. It's not even,
Okay, so
It was
you've got
just an
enough width Typically, the state only wants to see that you can actually do this. You can do it according to the bylaw, which it looks like you've got there. You've got a road that's wide enough to comply, and you've got frontage and area. So I don't see why you need to do anything other than what you've got there. They should be happy with that. But I don't know what who you're dealing with in the state. But from my past experience, they want to see what is potential, and you're showing what is potential right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dealing with Jasper Cowley currently, and he didn't even know any of this was going to come up. So I don't think they were, stuff was already in place. So they just wanted it cut out, lot 1 cut out. And then with that, we ran into the whole, not enough frontage for 2 lots. So
Well, if you're representing the owners, like Randy was alluding to, they would like to maximize their return from the state for donating the agricultural preservation land. So you could get 4 or 5 lots there potentially with a private road, and the private road is sufficiently large for them to accept under the APR program, and it's large enough for us to accept under a very small subdivision. So if I were in your position representing the owners, I would say, certainly you've got the 1 lot out front. And
It's too
then,
big to accept as a very small subdivision.
pardon?
It's too many lots.
Too many lots.
You
Okay, I
show
know.
6 lots is a very small subdivision. Now, again, I don't know if the state bases their payment on the number of lots, the size of the lots, or whatever. So you could show up to 6 smaller lots or 3 very large lots. I don't know which is the better option for your client and for the return from the APR money fund. But the plain A&R that shows 2 lots, we can approve. Anything beyond that, we don't have authority. We can't approve it right here without a public hearing and a whole bunch of other paperwork. But showing what's potential may be what you need to show the APR people.
Excuse me for interjecting here, but has this land been appraised by the state already?
I'm working for the state, and they were not aware of any of this. So I'm unaware of what level they're at. They just wanted to cut out lot 1. I believe it's all been, agreed
okay.
on with the Toper family. And so
Typically what they want to see is at least 50 feet of frontage left over so they can access the farmland, which
Right.
you have there. So are you concerned that you can't get the A&R signed because you don't have enough frontage for the second lot?
that's why we're going through this. Yeah.
So can't you just label it not a buildable lot?
Well, there's already a couple structures on there, so I'm not sure
Well, you
which
could,
way you want to go. I mean, I'm happy with the plan I got, the A&R, if you guys sign it. But if you need something else, that's kind of where, discussions with Bill Dwyer earlier, there was some samples he gave me, and I guess I'm looking for what direction. Ultimately, all I want is lot 1 and 2 as shown on the A&R that we were presenting.
Yeah, I think part of it is that having it marked as not a building lot, having lot 2 marked as not a building lot kind of defeats the purpose of buying the development rights on it.
I hear what you're saying, Bill, but again, it's only, they want to see in theory. They're not going to make him create a definitive subdivision and get that plan approved. They want to know what could be if they were to go through the process. And I guess maybe he needs to talk with the state and get them to clarify this a little bit so that he knows how to move forward.
Yeah, I think that is a good idea. There have been a number of staff changes within the last couple of years. So it may be useful to sort of go back to square one on this. I know I've had some inquiries on this too from point a blank on the name, but I've had some inquiries on this. So yeah, let's
Well, Taylor Arsenal was somebody involved. Chris Chisholm.
Chris Chisholm.
Yeah.
She talked with me. I have not talked with him on this. I've talked with him on other transactions. Um,
So I mean, as far as they're concerned, they were okay with the lot 1 and 2. None of this other stuff. They weren't even aware of it. Or if they were, wasn't a concern. We were just to get this A&R approved of lot 1 and 2, creating the APR. So,
okay, I think we just need to get a little more clarity internally because what what they are telling you may not be the whole story. I just don't know.
To sign off on 2 lots, to simply say lot 1 and lot 2, that infers lot 2, which is a 66-foot wide or 50-foot wide lot, whatever you've got, could be a buildable lot. And that's not true. It needs way more work to do that. That one right there. Lot 2 infers that it's buildable. And I would not vote to approve that plan as stated. That's what there's some miscommunication someplace here, and I don't know where it is.
The lot 2, there's a note under the area. What does that say, Tom?
that's the ACPALE parcel to be protected by an agricultural preservation restriction portion of parcel. I just like putting a non-buildable lot, but they got barns on there, so it's not really, I mean, there's structures on there, so I wouldn't want to put not buildable lot, but I was just hoping under 81R waiving strict compliance with its rules and regulations. How do we go about doing that?
Well, when we have done that, it's based on a showing or even an approval of a very small definitive subdivision plan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we were going with the other one. And if very small, if I got to cut down the lots, I can do that. That's why I'm, asking you guys' opinion on how to proceed and what I got to do to get
Well,
this.
From a planning board point of view, you have several options. But from a state APR, I don't know, you've got so many acres there. And I can't speak for prior APR applications, but normally the APR people, I believe, had paid so much per potential building lot. So if you only put 3 building lots on there, your client could get far less money potentially as opposed to the 6 lots.
Well, my client's the state, so.
Yeah,
it's
Jimmy,
what
I
they
don't,
want.
yeah, I think what he's saying is he's got to be able to figure out how to get lot 2 in a format where he can keep those barns on it. I mean, ultimately it's going into APR, so it's never going to get built, but I don't know the ramifications of keeping those barns and putting it and labeling it not a buildable lot. Because a barn is a structure, I guess, and it's probably treated no different than a house, but I'm not sure.
I mean, building permit's a building permit.
Okay, so then I think, Tom, in order to get what you need, you should just do 2 lots with your very small subdivision, because you have to have at least 2 to be a definitive subdivision. Put the first lot with the 2 barns on it, and then the remaining land is lot number 2, and then I think the board can work with you.
Okay. Does that sound reasonable to everyone else on the board?
Yes, it does. But even a very small subdivision goes through a full formal public hearing process.
So we need to get some clarity on whether the APR, what the APR program is looking for here.
Well,
If we just want a demonstration, this is your demonstration.
yeah, I mean, I would change that demonstration to, like you said, 2 lots with the 1 lot plus 2 subdivision lots, like Randy mentioned, and that would be fine. I mean, I know I'm speaking for the state, but they wanted, like I said, they wanted lot 1 and 2 approved, so.
Okay,
I guess
we can get
I
that
mean,
clarity.
I will confirm with them and let them know of our conversation. But I just need direction to move forward to tell them what you guys are willing to work with.
Are you doing this on behalf of the state or on behalf of the Tolpers?
It's the state. We were hired by the state.
The way this,
Oh,
the way it works,
okay.
Jimmy, the state will hire the surveyor to do the survey, and then they'll pay, I think the owner has to pay half. But it's actually for Tolpers, but the state's facilitating it.
Okay, I get that. Now I understand.
Just a question, why were the barns left on in the first place?
I believe they want them for the agricultural part of it. That's what
that-
I would assume.
That's where the one barn caved in, unusual barn that caved in. Isn't that the property there? That beautifully built white barn?
Don't know.
I think so.
I'm not sure either, because I wasn't on the field crew, so.
It's kind of a lesson of how barns fail.
Okay, we can try to get some clarity and maybe take this up in 2 weeks. So I don't think we're going anywhere now.
All right, do you want me to submit you another plan to look at with the 2 lots? Well,
Maybe
three total.
maybe I should talk to Chris
Mhm.
and get a better idea of what they're looking for before you do any more work.
Okay,
That's a good idea, Bill.
that sounds good to me.
Okay.
And then I do have a question. If we go with the lot 1 and then a couple subdivision lots, is this type of plan that you just showed on screen, is that sufficient for this definitive or for public hearing?
Great.
I mean,
For a
it's
6-lot subdivision, that's a full formal process. Drainage, the whole bit might have to be included. If it's a 3-lot, it's a little bit different. If you just show the 2 lots like you had on your A&R, then it only, the second lot, lot 2, would simply need to be labeled appropriately. And that's what Bill needs to find out from the state, what they're willing to accept.
Okay, so lot 2, you're saying would be the definitive subdivision. There, I can guarantee they're willing to accept that because they didn't want to do any of this. You know, there was all kinds of discussions, putting together a proposal, and
Yeah,
they didn't want to do any of this.
let Bill talk to the person at the program and find out some more details, because I think something's getting missed in the communications here.
Mhm. I mean, common sense says we're not building it. We don't intend to build it. Why would we go through drainage calcs and,
I fully
You know,
agree with you. I'm
yeah.
not, and I'm, we're let Bill talk to the people at the APR program and see if we can get some clarity on some issues.
All right, that sounds good.
Because we don't want to waste anybody's time and money either on this.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Have a good night.
Good night.
good night.
Next in was Jim Carlin.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Jim Carlin from Ace Signs. Got on a planning board meeting for some signage at Dave's Hot Chicken.
Yeah, the signs that you submitted,
Yep.
are those the same signs we approved almost a year ago?
I don't think so. I wasn't involved in that one. I think those were drive-through signs. And I don't think they have a drive-through. But I'm not
Okay.
sure. I just got thrown into this by another sign company.
Okay, because we approved building signs, et cetera, prior, probably, I would say close to a year ago.
Okay,
When they were, as part of the site plan approval that they went through several iterations of signs. And I didn't have a chance to compare what you submitted versus what we approved way back when it was.
okay.
What's the address for this?
5 South Maple Street.
Okay,
So the other factor is that what we originally approved was a waiver of site plan approval for them to convert an existing bank building into a chicken restaurant. The bank building has been reduced to a couple of standing beams at this point. And I think we would have to get the loop in the building inspector. I think this is being handled a little piecemeal. If they're asking you to do a sign package, I'm not even sure they still have a valid building permit.
Sounds about right.
Mm,
yeah.
Maybe that's why I got thrown into it.
Well, they were originally supposed to do a renovation of the building, take the roof off and go with a flat roof. And then they decided it was less expensive or more economical, put it that way, to completely tear it down and start anew. And we asked the building inspector several months ago, what's going on with this? And he said, I haven't heard from them. I don't know what's going on. So we don't want to jump all over you for something that you have nothing to do with.
I don't blame you. I'm not approving anything either if it's, they don't even have a building permit or whatever,
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, they submitted a sign package that we approved signs. But seeing that everything a lot of stuff has changed, leave it at that.
Okay.
I mean, you're a ways away from getting a sign here. I maybe want to suggest that you talk to the building inspector and find out the status of the building permit. So that, do they still have one? We don't know. Maybe they
Right.
didn't. Okay, but we also don't want to send you on a wild goose chase and approve something that is useless.
Right. I understand. And I will just send this back to the sign company I'm working for and, throw them
Yeah.
back in the huddle to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Have they been doing any? I haven't seen any action out there lately either.
No, it's just a pile of rubble and also
Right.
too, in connection with the sign, we did have some reservation about the way the building was being painted too. Was that part of the signage package or remember
Yeah,
that?
whether the mural is part of the sign package or not.
Right, correct.
I
Yeah,
thought we decided that it was not related to the brand and that they were doing it randomly at each
Well-
location.
That's what was represented to us.
Yeah.
But I think we may want to just get some clarity on that. I've never seen any of their other locations, so I don't know what to compare it against.
So this question, because I wasn't there. So technically, the plan was approved for a renovation, and it's a complete new rebuild. So would
Yeah.
that building
You-
permit even be valid?
Well, that's what we're questioning. The only thing that they saved was the slab.
Correct.
Everything else is new from the slab up. And, you know, we don't know. So rather than have Mr. Carlin, you know, like I said, we don't want to make him the bad guy and run around into circles here and see as there's virtually no action going on there. It's not like we've got to approve and make a decision tonight. So maybe, Mr. Carlin, if you could just go to the building inspector and find out what's valid and what isn't, so that it gives both you and us a direction on which way to proceed,
okay.
okay? And then you can come back in 2 weeks.
On my sketches, it says mural by others, subject to city and landlord approval, separate permit application required.
Okay,
I do have other pictures of other stores if you would like me to, if you want to see those. They do not have murals on them. The one store I have a picture of. I don't know.
why don't you do the homework first and then you come back with all the other information? Because you could show us the stuff tonight, and if there's no building permit,
Right.
I mean, we don't want to waste your time,
All right, perfect.
okay?
All right. I'll dig into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Next up is Mr. Iser.
Okay, try to share my screen under Randy, please.
You can share it under anything you want.
Well, I've got 2 items up here, Bill. I got 2 computers going, so the one that's Randy is the one I want you to let
Well,
me share.
I've approved sharing for everyone.
Okay, so now what do I do?
So you just click the share button at the bottom of your screen, the green arrow,
Okay, yep.
and then that should give you whatever you have on your desktop.
And then you choose the one that you want to display.
Okay, screens, I don't know. I doubt it's gonna work, but I'll try it. That do anything?
Nope, not yet.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Documents.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It is busy tonight.
Yeah, all right. I was gonna wait till the end. I thought I could pull this off, but I'll let you do it. It's gonna be. All right. 33 and 35 Middle Street, owned by Leslie Mish, wife of former Greg Mish. There's 2 pre-existing non-conforming lots here. They both have houses on them, and what she wants to do is sell the rental house she has, which I believe is number 33, which is the one closest to the rail trail, shown as lot 1. That lot currently goes, extends from its, if we're looking at it, it's the northwest or the upper left corner of back corner of lot 1. That line extends all the way back to well, I can't read it. Anyhow, there's 2 arrows on that line where I'm showing we're gonna take the back piece of what is the property that's part of lot one and add it to her house. And lot one will be, it doesn't have enough frontage, but it currently doesn't. It will have 30,005 square feet. It's not in the aquifer, so that's adequate. Any setback lines that we are altering are more than what is required by the bylaw. And there you have it.
Okay, so lot one's gonna be a new freestanding lot. That's where Chris By was living, right?
Correct.
And lot two is where she and Greg lives. And you're gonna take the lot to the west of lot one and add it to the main house lot of where she is?
Correct.
So you have a S
Parcel
shaped
A.
lot.
So parcel A is the remainder of what lot one comes out of.
And
So
that's
that-
all gonna be added to the
So-
homestead of hers?
yeah, that parcel A and her lot are what I'm calling lot two. If you look at her house lot, you'll see in green an area there.
Yep,
And so you take that area and the parcel A area and add them together and you get the total area of lot two.
okay, okay. All right,
So parcel A is kind of theoretical. It's yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I do that, Mark, is because any lawyer that's gonna do title on this is gonna wanna know where everything came from. When they start looking at deeds and trying to understand what's what.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it that way.
I never questioned you, Mr. Iser.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Just
Can you
wait, fish
participate,
ready
Mr.
up.
Blunt?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the ANR plan as shown.
Okay,
I would second it.
motion and second. Is there any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Done. I.
Dwyer, I.
Max Samansky, aye.
Parmar, aye.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. I'll be in touch, Jimmy.
Okay. I haven't signed on some other lots, right, yet?
You got one other one that I need you to sign, so we'll
Okay,
get
that's what I thought.
two
Okay.
for one deal.
All right.
And I would just like to ask Mr. Dunn how he can sit out in front of town hall and not freeze tonight.
It's magic. Did you enjoy the ice?
Well, I heard it hitting my window,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Okay, so I am not sure, I think we may be getting into people who are here for the public hearing, but I do have a few more names. Ailey Johnston,
Yes, that is me. Okay, hello, I'm Ailey from Wobipaka, and we are applying for a waiver. So our permit expediter, so this was necessary for our permit application. I'm not sure if you have the package, but I can also share my screen if necessary.
yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that?
Okay, one moment. One second, sorry.
While she's pulling that up, I have a question for Randy.
Sure.
With your sense of dimension and scale, would I need to recuse myself on that APR from where I live?
I would think not, Mark.
Okay. You've got Rosalie Oakley between me and there.
Yeah, and you're on the other side of the road and
Yeah, yeah,
it's not really going to impact you one way or the other.
right.
Are you able to able
Yes,
to
we
see the
can see the
screen?
screen.
Yeah.
Yep. yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is our current space. We are at Mountain Farms in Hadley. This is the current tenant, GameStop. So we are just proposing to remove this stone at the lower section. There's a couple of photos. We have an interior build out, but in terms of exterior work, and just replace it with stucco. This is a placeholder artwork. It's not finalized yet, but we are not changing the footprint of the building. That is our only scope for exterior work.
So what are you applying for tonight?
A waiver.
A waiver of what? Site
Great
plan.
question. Let
Waiver.
me.
Further site plan approval.
Okay,
So
Sure.
why don't you put that back up so we can start
Yeah.
asking questions about it?
Okay, no problem.
okay. How large is this sign?
1'6" high, facelit.
It is what?
1'6". The letter is.
But
Each
how
one.
many square feet is this total sign?
I would have to dive into that. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, and the large blue circles might be viewed as branding, which would be included as signage and be too large.
Okay, understood. So that sign is 38.43 square feet.
We'll put that sign back up. Whoa, you're moving too fast, young lady.
Sorry, sorry.
So it's basically,
38 and a half, yeah.
okay, 38 square feet. And looks like it's internally illuminated.
Backlit. Yeah, backlit. Yes.
Okay, not permitted.
Oh, not permitted?
Not internally illuminated sign is not permitted.
Okay.
The sign that's there has gooseneck lighting and it's externally illuminated. So this thing has to be externally illuminated.
Oh, actually, sorry. Yes, I had chatted with our signage vendor about this. We're removing the illumination on this. Sorry. This was old shop drawings that are being revised. But this is just to the square footage. So it'll be non-illuminated. We're planning, if we are able to do a graphic, like a painted graphic, again, the circles are just a placeholder for now. We're still finalizing that. If we're allowed to do a painted graphic, we would be removing the goosenecks and having a non-illuminated sign. However, if the graphic painted shapes are not permitted, then we would add the goosenecks back.
Say that again?
Okay, so these painted shapes, the half circles, these are just a placeholder right now. Our brand team is finalizing the final design. So this is just to kind of show that we're looking to add, 2 branded colors. If we are able to do these painted shapes, then we would have a non-illuminated sign. If we are not permitted to do these painted shapes, then we would include the goosenecks, which are currently shown.
Okay.
Yes.
Question about the painted shapes.
Yep.
Is that part of their brand? Is that the way they normally put signs up?
Yeah, so we love to add branded colors where possible. So these are 2 of our branded colors, Yosemite Blue and Winding Waterway. We try and design something unique for each space, which is why this was used at a previous store and it's just a placeholder for now. But where possible, we love to bring a branded element to the storefront.
Okay, because the question is these, if you would, the 2 partial circles, part of the trademark of Warby Parker?
I don't believe it's trademarked, the circles.
So this is not the way they typically present signage on their stores.
In terms of the painted circles, we like to we don't have a set design for each store. we like to kind of keep it unique to each location.
The reason I asked the question
Mhm.
is because if the two semicircles that you're showing are part of their standard sign package, then that is all considered part of the sign.
Okay.
If it's unique just to this store and it's not something they typically do, then it would not, maybe we would not consider it part of the sign package. But if
Understood.
it was, then you obviously are far exceeding the 40 square feet that you're allowed for the signage.
So
Understood. Yes,
if the
it's
circles were for you, like the swoosh is for Nike, but it sounds like they're more arbitrary.
exactly, yes. And we don't have like an exact design. It changes per location. So it's
Okay, so
not set.
if the two semicircles are the way they are, you would just have the Warby Parker appear kind of like that in white lettering with no illumination at all?
Correct.
Even external illumination would not be included.
Correct. We would prefer to have the colors as the kind of like branded element rather than illuminating the signage.
Okay.
Is there another sign on the bottom right next to the awning on the right side of the awning? Right there.
Yeah. Blade sign.
What sign is that?
A blade sign?
Oh, so it sticks out off the wall.
Yes.
And
Is
that
that
says it is
directional?
illuminated.
So yeah, this was our preliminary design package. So after reviewing this with our signage vendor, this will be modified when we submit the permit, the signage permit not to be illuminated.
Okay.
And what are the
Mr.
graphics
Ward?
on it? Is it?
Also says Warby Parker. I can
Oh,
pull
it
it
does.
up.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this was
So if you're-
this is it. Oh yeah, non-illuminated is noted
Got it.
here.
What's the
So if
board's
you're
opinion?
walking along in front of the store, you see it. Got it.
Yeah, and it's 5 square feet.
Does anyone else have a blade sign?
In this center, it was hard to tell. From what I saw, I don't believe so. We were proposing one. If possible, if we're able to have one, it would be amazing. If we're not, we can easily remove that as well.
I'm not categorically opposed to it, but it may have other implications.
Just as a practical matter, this is not a plaza that has a lot of foot traffic going
Yeah,
from store to store. Most people park in front of the store that they are patronizing.
that makes sense. So again, we're not tied to the blade sign. That can easily be removed. It's kind of like nice to have where possible, but
So this is one of those catch-22 things that you're showing us a preliminary design. You're asking us to approve a preliminary design, which might or might not be what you actually put in.
yes, it's kind of, I guess, to get some feelers on like, should we continue designing something to be the final design, or is it kind of like a flat out no?
Well, if you're willing to continue the design,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to ask for the opinion of the board as to do they think that the sign as shown in front of you is okay, non-illuminated with those colors, and give the lady the direction to design a formal sign package with that, or go with the other one that has the external illuminated sign.
Could
I
you-
would want to, yeah, I would want a formal sign package.
Or I'm not
finalized.
saying formal sign package. I'm saying which one should she design? The one that's in front of us, or the one that had the more conventional sign with external illumination?
Could we go back to the image of the existing conditions?
That's what's there today.
Yeah, so we're proposing to remove this stone at the bottom and then this little stucco build out, so it's a nice flat surface.
And the other sign that you had with the,
The blade sign?
yeah,
Yeah.
not the blade sign,
Oh. The awning?
no, well, I don't think it was an awning sign, the one that had the Warby Parker up against the
Oh,
building.
yes. Yeah, just the non-illuminated logo. It's kind of in the same position, basically. Oh, you want to see the two? Sorry,
Yeah, that, no, then you had another
side by
one.
side. Oh,
Oh, there
oh,
was the one
the
that
signage?
was internally illuminated.
That's the one.
Oh,
So
this
that-
one?
That's the blade.
That's the one, yes.
So that was internally illuminated.
Well, it would have to be
individual
externally
letters.
illuminated.
Yeah, we would either revise it to be externally illuminated or not illuminated at all.
You can also backlight it like what's it, not shadow.
Oh, we can do backlit because that's what this was
You
proposing.
can backlight it, but the
It-
letters have to be opaque.
The letters are solid. The light's
Yes.
not coming through the letters. It's
Yes,
yeah.
from behind. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, halo lit.
Okay,
Halo,
yeah, so that's
thank you,
what
yeah,
this
halo.
actually, yeah, backlit channel letters is what we were proposing here. I think our signage vendor was kind of getting mixed information on what was permitted, but if we can do, yeah, the backlit, then that's definitely preferred.
Okay. What is the opinion of the board? Nobody said a word yet.
I don't think it's a huge space. Do you have a, do you have any measurement of the width of the storefront?
Yes.
Somewhere around 20, isn't it?
Yeah, 22, 9 3/4. Is like lease line to lease line. No, actually the width here.
Roughly 22 by 12 foot is the area available for signage.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I think it's a close question as to whether it is part of a logo, but it is a relatively small space, and I don't think it's going to be shocking in that. So
So you're
I'm
saying
not
that
I'm okay with the shapes and the sign with no illumination,
okay,
or with halo illumination.
okay. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the understanding that it's a fairly random art on the wall, that it's not a trademarked, patented graphic. I think that's somewhat like what we approved on the side of LL Bean, and what we said was okay with the crazy graphics, the Mike's Hot Chicken, that it was not brand specific, it was just creative.
Okay,
The only thing that I heard at least say was that they were brand specific colors, but not shapes or forms or anything else. So I think that's acceptable in my opinion.
okay. Anybody else want to chime in? No? I mean, I kind of like the one with the two semicircles and the lettering, because that's not illuminated at all. If that's true, that would be my preference, but whichever, we'll give you the choice, Ms. Johnston.
Mhm.
You can either go with the halo lit Warby Parker that's on the left of the screen, or the one that's on the right with the two semicircles or whatever it's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'd prefer to go with the colors, just as it attracts more attention.
Okay.
So are we saying you wouldn't do the halo lit with the two colors?
She is going to proceed with the one on the right with the two semicircles, no illumination.
So that's just painted letters on the flat surface instead of
I believe we were looking at doing like like a still a acrylic and brake metal to have some dimension to it, so it wouldn't just be
Okay.
painted, but it wouldn't be illuminated.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
you
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
some shadow
That's
depth
fine.
to it, sure.
And
okay.
then I guess my question in terms of like the current design we're showing, would we need to come back to this meeting again with like a final design, or
Yes.
do you like the current design and want to approve that?
Why do you come back with what it would look like on that storefront?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so you've got what the existing storefront looks like, and just
Mhm.
superimpose your sign on that storefront so that we see exactly what we're going to get, or as close to it as you can get.
So, well, we are modifying the storefront, so like the stone will be removed. This is the design in. Oh, you mean the next design,
Yes,
the final design? Understood. Yeah.
okay,
Cool. And then I guess in terms of because our permit expediter had said we were like applying for a waiver, and I believe our permit application, correct me if I'm wrong, can't be approved until we have zoning approval. So we just wanted to make sure that we can start our building review kind of while the storefront's under review, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
the building review should be no problem to go
Okay.
forward while you're doing the sign design with as long as the building inspector understands you're proceeding with a sign, and the building modifications have nothing to do with zoning.
Okay.
I will make a motion to waive further site plan approval for the Warby Parker design as submitted, but not including sign approval at this time.
Understood.
Okay,
Second.
Second.
Second Z, approve as submitted, but not sign approval at this time.
Sounds
So
good.
we're approving the awning. Is there any lighting under the awning? No?
No. Just a fabric awning.
Okay.
okay. We have a motion and a second to waive further site plan approval, signage to come back for approval. Okay, with motion and second.
Yeah.
Any other discussions?
Is there a back door? Is there any signage at the service entrance or?
Let me double check. I don't believe so. Let me just triple check though.
If there were any, I'm
There is
sure
a
it would be directional.
yeah, we do have a rear door, but no signage back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a
Perfect.
motion. Anything else? Roll
Nothing.
call vote.
Done. Aye.
Dwyer, I.
Max Samarski, aye.
Farmer, aye.
Grodnick, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, we meet again in 2 weeks. If you can come back with your sign, and we can take care of that at that time.
Okay, I think I'll check in with our design team of how long the design will take, but it'll either be
That'll
2
be the
weeks or the
first
month.
Tuesday of February. Okay,
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
thank
Thank
you.
you, Andy.
Bye.
Okay.
I would guess about everybody's left is for the site plan. Well,
Mr. Harris,
I'm here on 68 North Maple Street.
okay.
oh, just a minute, excuse me.
Is that the
Aileen, Miss
ADU?
Johnston, what is the address of that?
Haley,
What is
are
the
you
address of
still
Warby
there?
Parker?
Haley
Yeah.
must have
All right.
just left us.
I have Mr. Harris, I'm sorry.
Let me share my screen if you don't mind. That's
Go ahead.
This is the ADU.
What's the
Yes.
address?
68 North Maple Street. That's something I want. Okay. Okay. Just a second. Okay, that's the one I want to show. There. Does that show up?
Yes,
Okay. We've been working with Rob Levesque and Associates on designing an ADU in this site. There's two minor typos that were made in the plan that was submitted. One was that on the plan submitted showed this as 218, is actually 208. And they show the ADU as being 912 square feet, and it's only 891. What we're proposing is a 891 square foot, 2-bedroom detached ADU with sewer connecting to the existing force main sewer connecting to the existing gravity sewer via a manhole that will be installed. Water service will be connected to the existing house using a product plastic or copper pipe, whichever the town requires. And then underground electric coming to a sub panel in ADU. We are proposing, there's currently about 3-4 parking spaces. We're proposing to make that 5 parking spaces. It's more than required, but it'd be ample for maneuvering and visitors, etc. One for the ADU. The existing house has been renovated. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 single family home.
could you enlarge that, please, as opposed to such a far, in other words, zoom in on where the building
Sure.
and the two structures are?
Okay,
That's good, thank you.
there. Yeah. So the force main will come down here, a proposed manhole be installed here, the force main tying in there. The water service will come to the existing house and using either a plastic or copper pipe, whichever you prefer. And electric will come back to the ADU with a sub panel and it'll be underground between the two units. There's the existing parking area here, proposing to expand that a bit. It'll end up being 5 spaces if that's acceptable. I know you only require 1 and they just want to have plenty of space for visitors, etc. And this existing house has been renovated and is a 3-bedroom single family home.
So the ADU is going to be built on a slab?
Yes.
Okay.
And you want me to, I can
The
show you the,
890 the 891, does that include that porch that's listed there too?
that's gross living area. So no, I wouldn't consider the porch to be gross living area.
That might be debatable.
It doesn't fall within the definition in the regs.
Okay.
Do you know how, what is the floor area of the existing house?
It's about 2,200, a little bit over, according to the assessor's card. And the back portion here is a garage. And you want me to, I can show you the building elevations of the proposed ADU.
That would be nice.
Right?
Okay. Here's the floor plan. And this is going to face the parking area. So this will be to the right. This will be to the left, and this is the back.
So the 891 includes the 2 floors?
Yes, it's gross floor area. Gross living area. Okay.
Does that look like a bulkhead? Yeah, no.
Yes. Yes, there's bulkhead right here in the back.
So there would be a crawl space or there
Oh,
would
there'll be a crawl space. Yes, my understanding, yes.
Okay. Oh, there are stairs.
Could you
going.
zoom in on the floor plan a little bit?
Yeah, let me see. I'm going by what I was told earlier.
So that
Uh,
it's like a
it's
base.
up, it's down, yeah. Porch slab is, okay.
This house is proposed, it's not built already.
Yes, it's proposed.
Because there is one close to it that's been built that never came before us.
Wasn't by, on this property and wasn't by this builder.
No,
No.
Okay, could you go
Um,
back to the floor plan?
Do you have anything that tells us what
Floor
the,
plan, sir. Could you go back to the floor plan, Mr. Harris?
Oh, floor plan, okay, yes. Here's the loft. Here. Up and downstairs. And here's the main floor.
Could you zoom into the bottom one there? I'm just trying to look at.
It does say down to basement.
yeah, is there a, is there anything that indicates what the head height is in that crawl space?
Well, yeah, this thing says it has a basement. Go, you're moving all over the place, please.
Okay. I was trying
That
to look,
plan, stop.
yes,
That plan says you have a basement. The stairway says down to basement.
In the guest bedroom, it says down to basement.
yeah, I see that.
That is not on slab.
So does it have a basement or not?
I'm saying does not. I was told it's gonna be on slab.
Tim
Why-
usually has a
down-
foundation plan.
What's that? Why does
Tim
this-
usually has a foundation plan on his plans.
And they did show a basement plan. We saw it.
I didn't see, can I scroll down a little bit?
Yep.
Okay.
There is a
Okay.
cellar.
I would
Yeah.
say this is unfinished basement. It's not gonna be, I was told it's gonna be on slab, but it looks like it's unfinished basement.
I don't think that.
The reason the cellar is important is because the ADU bylaw says that if it has a basement, it counts as living space. So
Richard,
you're
sorry, Jimmy,
whoever
there's
is
something,
drawing these plans
There's-
is
there's something
some big
on there that says
discrepancies here.
foundation walls 2-5 something or other. What, if he scrolls to the right there, maybe you can see what that says. There.
5 foot wall, 5 foot tall.
Oh, 5 foot tall, well,
Yeah.
okay. All right, that's different.
So it's not
That's a
livable.
crawl space.
So, it's a, yeah, it's
Okay.
a basement for midgets, but or for very short people, but
But it's so you can get to
Crawl
drain
space.
lines
Right.
and other
Right.
utilities.
Okay, that's a crawl
Okay.
space. That's not
That's a
real,
crawl
that's not
Right.
That's why,
Not a
yeah, I
bona
was
fide-
asking if you had a head height.
Yeah,
anywhere.
It doesn't meet basement rules. Okay. Okay, now if you move up to back to the floor plan. Okay.
Yeah, I would say down to crawl space, but
Okay,
it should say down in crawl space instead of basement.
well, I mean. The 5 foot is that's the important part. Okay. Okay, so the way the ADU bylaw is written, we will schedule a review at one of our next two meetings to review this plan and give you, and then take the vote to approve this,
Okay,
okay? This is not
So
a
it-
formal, excuse me, public hearing. It is just a review this at an open public meeting.
so it'll be on the 26th or no? It'll be
It'll
on
be
the,
on January 20th or
20th.
the, 3rd of February.
okay,
And we'll let you know. Just keep an
Okay.
eye on the agenda, and Mr. DeWoe, we can include you on the meeting notice.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I'll add it to one of the agendas. The second, we do have a public hearing on the second January meeting. We are meeting with PVPC on the first February meeting. So it probably would be more sense. We're not going to have any public hearings on the first February meeting, so it probably makes sense to put it there.
Okay,
And that will be February 3rd.
yes.
Third. Okay. I'll put that on my calendar and look forward to the email.
Is this 68, is this 70 or 68 North Maple?
68 North Maple.
68, okay. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
finally.
So is everyone else here for the public hearing? Looks like it.
Good luck. All right. Mr. Chamberlain, I guess you're up.
I will, just one thing to note, I will not be participating in this
Well, you know somebody?
discussion. I know a few people, but
Do we
I will be
need
sitting this one out.
do we need to formally announce the hearing?
All right. Go ahead, Chris.
Great. Yeah, Mark was just asking if we need any formal announcement of the hearing.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
this-
Yes, let me announce the public hearing as.
Make sure everything's proper.
The Hadley Planning Board will conduct a Zoom public hearing on Tuesday, January 6th, 2026, beginning at 6:45 PM. Purpose of the hearing is to review the application of Pioneer Valley Hotel Group for special permits, creation of a senior housing project and site plan approval to create approximately a 60,500 square foot complex, about 50 units of senior housing project at 41 Russell Street. Plans are available by emailing planning@hadleyma.gov or visit the town clerk's office during normal hours. Published twice in the Gazette, December 15 and 22nd. You're up, Mr. Chamberlain.
Great, thank you. And we'll share screen and very quickly, I think you probably know all of these people. Chris Chamberlain, Berkshire Design Group, civil engineer for the project, here with Shardul Parmar, who's representing the applicant and the landowner. And we also have Dan Bonham from Bonham and Douglas Architects, who's the architect for the project. As you know, we are proposing a senior housing apartment building of 50 rental units for residents age 55 and over, to be professionally managed by Pioneer Valley Hotel Group, which already operates the site and specifically the Hampton Inn on the southern part of it. And as we've been talking about for some time, the project goal here is to target people in Hadley who are downsizing from a house but want to stay in town and are looking to rent and not worry about property maintenance and these sorts of things, and to take advantage of the senior housing overlay, which was recently amended. again, reminder of the history. Been discussing this with the planning board for over a year now, I believe, and have previewed conceptual plans while advocating for the zone change to allow the project. That zone change was supported by the planning board, by the select board, by the housing committee, and according to the minutes at town meeting, was approved unanimously back in May. And so here we are. And so we submitted for a site plan review and special permit on October 7th. The other one thing that I wanted to highlight here that was not necessarily explicitly noted on the application form, but depending on how the board interprets the parking requirements on a site that includes both senior housing and business uses, we may need to do a small amount of TDR in order to meet the parking requirements. I'll get into the gory details of that toward the end. We'll talk about more interesting things first. And the project was peer reviewed by Ty and Bond. We received comments back in early December on the 9th. We provided responses back to Ty and Bond on the 23rd, and we received a clean letter from them that says Ty and Bond has no further comments on the revised materials and feels the design meets the applicable regulations and standards. We received that last Wednesday on New Year's Eve. And have forwarded that information to the board, although that was fairly recently, so I'm not sure if you've had a chance to review those items specifically. So I'm going to give an overview of the project, get into some of the details of the site plan, utilities, those sorts of items. Dan's going to take a few minutes to talk through the architectural design of the building. I think Shardul has a few things that he wanted to say on the project, and then we'll be happy to answer questions. Since I know the board members are very familiar with the site and we've presented the conceptual version of this plan before, I'm going to try as best I can, which is usually not very well, to go through the details relatively quickly, but obviously we'll be happy to answer any and all detailed questions after we do that. So the existing property is approximately 8.2 acres, divided technically into two tax parcels, a northern portion, which is primarily what we see here and where the proposed work is, and a southern portion that includes the Hampton Inn. Those are in common ownership, and when we talk about zoning compliance, as has been typical on this particular property, we're looking at this all as a single property in those calculations. The obviously heavily developed for many decades, and as you know, the project location is here immediately to the north of the now closed Hadley Meeting House. The proposed building, as I said, is 50 units in 3 stories. There are 49 2-bedroom units and 1 1-bedroom unit. The square footage of the footprint is approximately 21,000 square feet. And as Jim mentioned, the total floor area is about 60,500. That does not include the Hadley Meeting House. There is proposed to be a direct hallway connection between the 2 buildings, and the intent is really for the meeting house space to both be common area for the residents as well as support mechanical service, etc. space, potentially even storage for residents in the approximately, I think it's 8,500 or 8,900 square feet of the meeting house building. So those are connected together. The facts I just gave you are for the new construction only. The entire building is going to be raised due to floodplain issues. You'll see elevations at the end that will illustrate that a little bit more clearly. Existing grade in this portion of the site is between elevation 122 and 123. It's close, a little bit lower than the street elevations in this area, 122, 123. The flood elevation is 125. And in order to meet that and also create crawl space that will be floodable for flood storage underneath, we have a first floor elevation of 126.5, which means all of our entrances, unfortunately, are going to be raised 3 to 4 feet off the site. As I zoom in, and we have a more detailed version of the site plan that I'll flip through in a minute, but this one's a lot nicer to look at. There are 2 accessible ramps on the site. One of them is actually existing that reaches the meeting house first floor elevation, which matches our proposed building in this location. And we're proposing a new large accessible ramp entrance to reach the front door of the building. All of the entrances have stairs approaching them, and the entrances that do not have accessible entrances do have code compliant areas of rescue assistance as necessary. Zooming in a little bit more on detail in terms of sort of outdoor spaces that are specific to this building. The front sort of main entrance to the building is going to have somewhat a minor but patio area, sitting area that's all elevated at floor elevation, so a little bit higher than surrounding area. Nothing especially formal, but we do have a little bit of space to be able to sit and look out, watch people coming and going. And then there's also, we're proposing to create a much more formal sort of outdoor gathering, useful space immediately south of the meeting house, which is currently mostly grass. This will sort of tie together with the existing elevated patio space out here and also tie to this building, which is intended to be sort of indoor common space for the whole property, which has both stairway access and ramp access down to this space. While this is not 100% designed in detail, the idea is that there would be outdoor patio and seating areas, perhaps some lawn, maybe some lawn game type areas, maybe a fire pit, those sorts of things. I think we haven't gotten 100% into the details of the design, and I think there wants to be a little bit of thought with and maybe conversation with prospective tenants about what would be the most useful part of that space. We will be having, we've got a landscaping plan throughout the site that I'll touch on a little bit more, but formal planting areas sort of more concentrated close to the proposed building, as well as with some TBD landscaping around that outdoor space. We're also proposing to screen this off from what is the existing service area for the hotel right here, which we're proposing to be doing double duty as service access space also for the residential building. As I said, there'll be ramps going into the front door, but there's an opportunity to utilize the dumpster that's here and also sort of the loading and unloading access. And so in order to do that, we're proposing a sort of an extended ramp that runs along the backside of the property here near the Eversource yard, screened from the internal portion of the property into what will sort of be the back door of the complex in this area here. And the idea is that larger deliveries, this will be designed to accept those sort of through the back of house where possible, and also trash and other things like that can find a common collective space in this building and then be brought out to one existing collection area here. Zooming out a little bit more on the site, this obviously is going to require a major reconfiguration of this northeastern portion of the property. The proposal is to significantly narrow the existing driveway entrance that's coming off of Russell Street, which currently has two separated, pretty wide drive lanes with a median in the middle, and to bring that down to more of a 24-foot wide typical two-way driveway entrance in this location. We would continue to prohibit left turns onto Russell Street with signage, and based on a comment from the peer reviewer, we added a sort of small diversion island to, again, discourage those illegal left turns onto Russell Street. And I'll just note there that because Russell Street is state highway, any of these improvements that we're proposing on here are subject to DOT approval through the highway permit process, which we plan to proceed with once we get the local approvals here, but not expecting much pushback on sort of narrowing and reducing the speed at which you can come in and out of that driveway. The intent with a lot of this design for the layout of the reconfigured parking lot, and in particular some of these spaces closer into the building, is to give this much more of a residential feel, and to the extent it's possible in a parking lot like this, to even try to articulate a little bit of a residential feel streetscape wise, particularly in this area here, which is sort of an ill-defined sea of asphalt today. And as you probably know, coming into the site, it was originally designed as sort of a major diagonal thoroughfare through here. And especially when this parking lot's fairly empty, that encourages high speeds zooming through here between both ends of the property. Since these are now going to be people's homes, we really wanted to do what we could to try to push against that. And so this main entry drive is going to come in with landscaped islands on both sides, narrowed down to 24. I think actually we're down to 22 feet in the middle of the site. With those islands on either side, and also creating decided right turns here to force people to slow down. And at the main entry of the building, we're proposing a one-way traffic pattern and turnaround loop. This middle area is for accessible parking directly to the building, as well as it has a wider median here so that we can do EV charging stations on these convenient spots out here, while also creating a bit of a pickup drop-off turnaround loop, and what are likely to be signed as short-term parking spaces right adjacent to the door here. I'm sorry, I got talking so much I lost my place, and I want to make sure I cover everything that I wanted to talk about. And so in addition to that, we're trying to really create more prominent pedestrian routes. So you notice we're proposing crosswalks throughout on the major routes through the site, which also include through those accessible spaces leading from multiple directions to the front door. There's also a proposal to add additional sidewalk that will connect to the existing PVA bus stop in this location here. And then that sidewalk also leads to the the Bay Road intersection, which gets you across Russell Street, gets you to the other side of Russell Street, and also eventually to the bike path. So that increasing the prominence of that. At the entrance, dissimilar materials with a concrete sidewalk on an asphalt driveway to really make the pedestrians a little bit more prominent there. And then, to the extent that we could, while still maintaining the access we need for larger vehicles, we have bump outs of curbs on some of these crossings, again, to try to make those pedestrian movements a little bit more prominent. I mentioned the legal ADA spaces, of which throughout the site we have more than are required, but also made an effort, given that this site's pretty flat anyway, that a lot of these spaces close to the building are on flat slopes with crosswalks nearby, so that hopefully a lot of these spaces can be functionally accessible, even if they're not official ADA or handicap spaces. The western portion of the parking lot is not changing very much. We are relocating this curb line by a few feet. If you haven't been to the site recently, this portion of the site actually has sort of a double sidewalk. There's a sidewalk undercover right close to this building down here. There's a second sidewalk that's out from undercover, and then there's a landscape strip in front of that. And so what we wanted to do was, this is currently a bunch of angled parking that is kind of inefficiently laid out. So we wanted to reorganize this a little bit, and chewing up just those couple of feet really let us change this in a way that we can, emphasize this as a travel corridor and some intersections into it with some additional landscaping, more regular parking spaces. We did reserve a little space here, which is very similar to the existing layout, so that the service entrance to the Manny's is still usable. There are a few large large shade trees in the middle of this parking lot. There are 4 in the middle that are proposed to be removed because they don't work with this reconfiguration. All 4 of them are either in decline or in the process of dying. So those were not necessarily going to be in great shape for much longer. There are 2 large oaks in front of Manny's that we are going to be able to retain. In its place, as you can see, this is a representation of the actual proposed tree planting plan. So all of these landscape islands are proposed to have shade trees, and then the landscaping plan is also contemplating additional shrubs and herbaceous stuff and things like that to improve the aesthetics of the site. The site grading, I'll just now move to the little bit more technical drawings. This is the site plan sheet that we submitted, which is largely similar to what I was just describing on the render. The site grading plan, you can see existing and proposed contours in this portion of the site are very similar. In general, we're not changing the grade very much, which is mostly a matter of the fact that we have to meet compensatory flood storage, so we can't change it very much. And the grading plan is primarily built around just ensuring that we've got proper drainage throughout the site. I meant to mention on that last slide that this western portion of the site, while we're reconfiguring the layout of the parking spaces, this is primarily just repaving and restriping. Like I said, small changes in grade because we had to fine tune that flood storage number. But this portion of the site's very much similar. And really, south of this stretch, the entire Hampton Inn portion of the site is proposed to be completely unchanged. And so that's grading. We'll come back to this in just one second. As we turn to utilities, the drainage on the site, we do need to remove and replace a lot of the drainage in this parking lot, which is questionable as to whether it's sufficient today. And as we regraded the site and reconfigured things, we needed to replace that. The site is currently managed by that large detention basin that's right next to Bay Road at the southern end of the site. In total, this project will result in an increase in impervious area of about 6,800 square feet, which is only about 3% of what's there now. There'll be a reduction in pavement on the site, but there'll be an increase in roof area. So there's a little bit of a trade there, and we end up on net just a little bit more than was there before. The proposed drainage plan, which was submitted again, reviewed by the peer reviewer, and they had a couple of comments that we responded to. We are proposing to just expand this. This is the detention, sorry, I should introduce this. This is the large detention basin, which is riprap lined down near Bay Road. We're proposing to increase the size of that just enough so that this will continue to result in no increase in runoff leaving the site. As highlighted by the peer reviewer, because we were increasing the impervious area a little bit, we were on the hook for infiltration and water quality under the stormwater standards for that increase. And so what we have proposed, which is probably a little bit more visible, it's tough on these engineering plans on Zoom, but the outdoor space area that I was describing down here, which is also shown in an inset. So this match line here matches this location here, just so that we can show this little bit of area. We're proposing a handful of underground chambers in this location, drainage catching this portion of the roof of the new building, and to the extent we can grab it, the meeting house building will be carried by a drain line running down the backside of the site, and then we'll have a chance to go into this, which just creates an infiltration volume so that we can infiltrate the required amount based on that increased impervious area. The infiltration also gets us water quality credit for that increase, so we check those stormwater standard boxes. In addition, as an improvement to existing conditions, as far as we can tell, the entirety of this northern parking lot currently runs toward that detention basin untreated. And so we are proposing to drop a water quality unit to intercept those flows on their way to the detention basin, and treat them for sediment and oils and other things like that. So again, all of that was reviewed by Ty and Bond, and once we added that dry well, they felt that we were in compliance with the stormwater standards. As for water, really water and sewer, there are a couple of lines that run from Russell Street that happen to go right through the footprint that we're creating, so there is a need to reroute both water and sewer to accommodate this footprint. On water, the northern and southern portions of this site are served independently by services from Russell Street and Bay Road respectively. So when we're talking about water service, it is only for the northern portion of the property. The meeting house had an 8-inch water service coming in off of Russell Street and entering approximately this portion of the building. We're intending to retain that tap on Russell Street and also retain the connection entering the building here and just reroute. And I think these letters are even small on my screen, but we're going to pick up the water line here, route it out and around the new building, and then tie back into the existing. The plan in terms of the mechanical design for the building is to feed water to the entire building from the meeting house. That will presumably require upgrading some of the fire protection connections and things like that as necessary, but essentially reusing but relocating a portion of that service. And so the new demand for this project is, depending on how you calculate it, there's a couple of different ways to look at it, is between 1% and 3% of existing town water use. There's no proposed lawn irrigation and minimal water necessary for plants. And we had mentioned this early on in the conceptual stages, but we had reviewed this project with DPW and got feedback from Scott. And I'm just reading from his email here that says, the new building will absolutely amount to nothing in our flows. I hope this helps. I see no reason why this building should not move forward from the water as far as water and sewer are concerned. And we also, for the peer review, based on peer review comments, ran a couple of calculations on friction losses for fire flows and water use in the building, and internally to the site, all the infrastructure was found to be perfectly adequate. An 8-inch line can supply a ton of water. On the sewer side, the entire site drains to an existing 6-inch sewer line that exits the site up to Russell Street. The existing service is sufficient for the new use. Peer review did question that, and so we ran a couple of calculations on the sewer because 6-inch feels a little small for a large site like this. But after construction, we're seeing the sewer service will be on average 16% full. At peak, 37% full, with the velocities between 1.5 and 2.5 feet per second. Those are all actually right in line with what you'd want for a sewer that's going to be self-cleaning and is appropriately designed. So we were happy with that. Applicant is still toying with the idea as to whether to replace this old sewer connection out to the street or not. But for the purposes of this permit, we're proposing to retain that existing service and simply relocate it. As far as traffic and parking, and for here, I'm going to just flip back to the nicer to look at version of the site. So with our original application, we had submitted a traffic memo based on ITE data. The peer reviewer agreed with the methods, data, and conclusions on that. They did have a couple of additional clarifying questions, and we provided some additional information talking about sort of the split between north and south and clarifying which versions of things that we used, and then got no follow-up comments after we provided those back. Just a reminder, as I talk about trips, a trip is one arrival or one departure. So someone who comes and then goes, that's actually 2 trips. Average daily trips as we construct this project, are estimated to increase by 185 on weekdays and 160 on weekends, with the site traffic assumed to be roughly split between Russell Street and Bay Road. That's looking at a 0.4% increase of traffic on Russell Street based on DOT recent counts and a 1.3% on Bay Road. The peak hour trips on all days is estimated to be an additional 15 peak hour trips compared to existing, which is equivalent to one additional car every 4 minutes, or if those are split equally between the two exits, one additional car per 8 minutes, and overall expecting negligible impacts. And part of that is because when we look at the data for multifamily buildings, the coming and going is a little bit, I think it piles up less than it does for typical single family, for whatever reason that's in the data. The parking was summarized on a zoning compliance sheet, which I'm going to flip to because this has a few pieces of information that are going to be relevant. That was in the original submission. The peer reviewer did request a little bit more clarification. So we had also created a whole summary memo for the parking situation and submitted that to the peer reviewer. That was included in that information that we forwarded to the board recently that quantified things a little bit more. And here I'm going to talk about first the parking situation in terms of ITE sort of industry standard data, and then looking at the Hadley bylaw requirements. And then we're going to circle back to that question of with a board interpretation question. Based on ITE data, assuming all spaces occupied with sort of high but not very high commercial uses. So we're talking about offices, but not necessarily restaurants here, which is not what the existing sort of commercial sites are based on. We would estimate a peak parking demand site-wide, so including the Hampton Inn portion of the site, of 141 vehicles on weekdays and 176 vehicles on weekends. And that's the peak of each use individually. So there is a reality that peak parking demand for residents typically is overnight, whereas obviously commercial is more during the day. Hotels align more with residential than with other commercial. But in this case, it's simply the peak of the use all by itself added together. And so again, that bigger number was 176 on weekends. Post-construction actual parking spaces on the site, which is pretty similar to the current site, is actually 280. So we will have significantly more parking spaces than ITE would suggest that we need. And then the yellow areas you see in here are areas that would be dedicated to business parking. The pink is areas that could be dedicated to parking, and therefore we're counting it as part of our reserve parking calculation. So based on that data, we're more than adequately parked for parking spaces. And here I will just note that, I'm sorry, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then looking at Hadley zoning bylaw requirements, and here it's not explicit in the zoning bylaw as to cases where we have a senior housing project co-located with businesses. For everything I'm about to say, we've assumed that those need to be calculated separately and provided separately. It does make a difference though, because if there's any acknowledgement of the ability to share parking spaces between the two, then it appears that we can satisfy the business parking requirement without TDR. But if we need to count up all of our residential spaces that we're proposing and then calculate business parking independently, then we would need to request approval to do TDR for a small bit of additional development parking reduction. And so the zoning, the requirement for zoning is 2 parking spaces per unit for the residents, plus an additional 1 parking space per 4 units for guests, which totals about 113 spaces. We are proposing that, as allowed under the bylaw, that the planning board allow a reduction of that down to 75 total spaces, which is 1.5 spaces per unit. And I will note that the ITE number for a multifamily building is actually 1.3 spaces per unit. So we're actually higher than than the ITE number, but that would be a reduction from what the town requires. And the bylaw provides that can be reduced upon a finding of alternative means of transportation. And so here we highlight the fact that we do have a PVTA transit stop immediately outside of the site that we're providing connection to, which then connects further to the bike path. And then it's not directly addressed in the bylaw, but again, the peaking of residential uses versus the peaking of commercial uses don't align. So there's also a reality that some of these parking spaces are going to be able to do double duty. So if we were approved with 75 parking spaces dedicated to the residents, that's what you see in the gray area here, all counted out. Then we would have commercial spaces. So that's every building on the site with the exception of the residence and the meeting house. We would have almost 78,000 gross square feet of floor area for commercial, which converts into a parking requirement of 155,000, almost 900 square feet at the 2-to-1 ratio. And this is all in that parking memo. It's all in our application. That would meet, so that's 155,900. Our proposed parking area that you see in yellow is 94,368. Our reserve area that could be turned into parking is 55,454, which means that if we add those together, we have a potential total parking provided of 149,822, which is a little bit less than that 155,896. So we have that deficit of slightly over 6,000 square feet of parking that would be required. So if we need to do TDR, that works out to about 1.51 acres of TDR would be required, and the applicant would be happy to contribute to the town fund for farmland preservation. But that's a question that I imagine we could discuss, and either way is fine. But again, since it's ambiguous in the bylaw, we wanted to bring that up. And again, point being that regardless of which way you attack that, ITE or Hadley zoning bylaw, that we certainly have adequate parking, and especially considering the disalignment between the commercial and residential uses. And so now I am going to flip to the architectural sheets here and invite Dan Bonham to talk us through the architecture of this proposed building. And then see if Shardul has anything to add. And then I've specifically spelled out the waivers that we're looking for. So I want to go through those one by one so that it's totally clear what we're doing.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me know if you can't hear me for some reason. Dan Bonham from Bonham and Douglas Architects in Northampton. Pleasure to be before you folks again tonight. I wanted to just quickly introduce the project. Our strategy here was to really try and have a building that emulated a residential kind of historic scale that felt within keeping with obviously the nature of Hadley's historic farming and residential community. So we have very traditional gable ends, some pretty simple formal typologies, simple articulation on the facade, and we tried to keep it in a scale that was familiar and felt very much at home in Hadley. So we broke up the facade with a series of gables, breaking up some of those gables with kind of a parapet, not a parapet, a pediment rooflet across the top of the eave line. And we have actually, I think if you go back a few pages, I can talk a little bit, I think 2 pages. I have a key there for the cladding. So we have a bit of shake used to articulate the top of the eaves. And then the rest of the building is going to be a combination of a 4-inch reveal horizontal clapboard and a 7-inch reveal horizontal clapboard. We do have some vertical elements that are part of basically an articulation of the egress stairs. Those are referential to a chimney type form, although the idea would be they're not done out of masonry. Those are just a darker color of the 4-inch horizontal clapboard. The roof line, we kept the longest unbroken roof line to about 30 to 35 feet. And the idea being, if you, Chris, go forward to the renderings, that this building, why don't you zoom out so we can see both. The lower image on the right is kind of, I guess, the most public presentation of the building as you're driving in from the driveway there. And then the upper view is deeper in the site. You can see to the right in both of these, we have what's currently the Hadley Farms Meeting House. Idea being this is a barn-like structure, so that these buildings could have a kind of a relationship where one would be referential of a more residential building and the other maintaining that barn-like vernacular look. So we've got 50 units spread throughout the building. I think there's 16 or 17 units per floor, depending on the floor. We're at about 10'6" floor to floor for the upper floors, and I believe 11'6" floor to floor for the lower floor. As Chris mentioned, the slab, the first floor deck is about 5 feet up above the parking lot, so we do have a pretty formal entrance there, recessed back in that inside corner, with some nice public space out there, a little bit of room for maybe some chairs or benches for people to wait for their ride to arrive, or meet a friend. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Maybe there's something I missed. Well, overall the building's about 185 per leg of the L, is L shape, and then just over 75 for each of the kind of end dimensions, which you can see there in the upper left is articulated as 2 forms, and then we have the gable roof throughout. All the HVAC equipment currently is conceived as being on the roof, hidden behind that roof slope. So,
what is your peak height?
Peak height.
We're going to talk about that in a second when I get to the waivers section, because we have some challenges due to the floodplain and also providing ceiling heights while still wanting to maintain an appropriate aesthetic. So hold that thought. I have something to say on that, but first just wanted to give Shardul a chance if he wanted to add anything before we go to waivers.
This, as far as for our real mindset about developing this project and this building, we've owned this site now for about 15 years, 16 years, and the fact is that the retail environment and other commercial opportunities, especially where we are on Route 9 and Hadley, are very limited. And we feel that this project provides the greatest value for the town in terms of it being a building that's in a use that's going to have a high value towards it, and with limited to very minimal impact to services, and also for us to manage with managing the site for so many years and having the hotel next door. It seems like it's a great opportunity and a great fit for really everyone that's going to be involved in this construction, in this project. So
Great. Okay, so then just put together this, I believe, are the waivers that we are looking for. And so the first one, Mark, goes to your question. So the bylaw has the base dimensional regulation in the underlying zone is 3 stories and 42 feet from average street grade. The senior housing overlay bylaw, and I meant to pull this up ahead so I could cite the exact language, but the senior housing overlay bylaw allows the planning board to waive dimensional requirements as long as it's in harmony with I think it's aesthetics and the overall intent of the senior housing overlay district. So we are hoping that we can discuss a waiver to allow a taller height than that. On the architectural sheet, this is a 3-story building measured 49.9 from the ground. The definition of the height in the zoning bylaw is measured from average street grade, which is several inches higher than where the building actually sits. So the legal height per zoning is 49 feet. 4 of those feet are accounted for with the floodplain, which we just can't avoid. So sorry, I'm sort of talking around that. So it is physically possible for us to bring this height down to 42 and meet it. However, because we have the 4 feet that we need to get above flood elevation with the first floor, and because Dan is seeking to have an aesthetic that reads, sorry, I slipped to the wrong page, that reads as a residential roof with typical slopes that you'd see in Hadley, we are proposing that this be the building at that 49-foot height, which is 7 feet over the 42, because if we started to bring that, we would either be sacrificing the 3rd story of the building, which the zoning allows, or we would be significantly flattening this roof and really losing the language of the sloped roof farmhouse type residence. So let me go through all of these. I'm sure we're going to discuss some of them in detail, but let me just go through what we have to say, and then we can open this up to any kind of question whatsoever. I just don't want to lose any thoughts here. So the other waivers that we're looking for is parking for residential use. The bylaw, as I mentioned, requires 2 spaces per bedroom plus 1 per 4, or 113. We are proposing 75 spaces. We've identified alternative modes of transportation that are available right at the site, and we're also noting that even at 75 spaces, based on ITE data, we meet the estimated parking demand for the site, and then also noting that differential in peaks between the different uses on the site, so there's an ability to share spaces. The building footprint, the bylaw has a maximum building footprint of 12,500, but that is waivable by the planning board as long as the building is in keeping. Sorry, I should have cited the exact text. We can scrutinize that if we want to have a discussion. The proposed footprint is 20,827. And it would be possible for us to break this into 2 buildings, but it really makes the design of the interior inefficient. And what I want to highlight here, as we saw in Dan's renderings, is the way this L-shaped building works. It appears as a building closer to that 12,000 square foot from any location offsite, and in particularly from Russell Street. This view, where you see the totality of the length of the building, is only visible from within the site. And then in addition to that, this building is set back about 100 feet from Russell Street, and we're proposing a significant planting and screening, including some trees that will become large shade trees in that wide green space between the parking lot and the street. There is also a provision of the bylaw that limits the size of community spaces in a senior housing overlay project. The bylaw says the space may only be 10% of the total floor area. As proposed, that entire meeting house building totals 12.8%. I think we could identify an area that is under 10%. That's the true community space interior for this. But if we count the entire floor area of that building, it is over the 10%. And we would request that being allowed so that we can reuse that existing building that's like perfectly suited as community space for this building. And as I noted, some of that space will actually not be community space. We have a site lighting plan. Photometrics were proposed. The bylaw has a maximum pole height of 15 feet. We would like to go up to 25 feet, which is the same as the poles that are there now. If that's not acceptable to the board, we can redo that lighting plan to get those to 15 feet. But the entire site, both north areas and south areas, currently have those taller pole heights as it is. And we are proposing more pedestrian scale building, bollard lights and such near the building. That was the last thing I had prepared to say. And now happy to take the conversation wherever the board would like.
Going back to the site plan, do you have bicycle racks covered or uncovered?
Yes, there are exterior bike racks proposed in this location that are uncovered. I think we have not gotten to that level of detail interior to the building, but there's certain, I believe there's ample space in the meeting house building that we'd carve out bike parking, but I'll defer to Dan and Shardul on that one.
Shardul, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, you know, we're definitely we'll have bike parking on the site, whether in front. The with the storage being in the meeting house, we'll probably have storage also in there, just to keep them out of the elements, so that the residents don't have bikes in the snow and rain and things like that as well.
So I had a question about traffic circulation. With this reconfiguration, I see that the main entrance is two-way, and the passage between the existing Village Barn Shop and the meeting house is two-way. Are you intending to divert all northbound traffic into the loop in front of the senior building?
So we went through a number of iterations here, and I think the intention is to actually make this northbound route relatively inconvenient for hotel guests to travel north, so that they're not going through this area that we're trying to preserve as residential, and they have a convenient driveway on the Bay Road, which then just requires a right and a right to get onto Russell Street eastbound. Anyone going westbound already has to leave that direction as is because of the no left turn onto Russell Street. But there is some flexibility in that if it were a point of concern. But we spent a lot of time thinking about how can we make this not feel like a thoroughfare to the residents.
Are you going to put up a no left turn sign on that passageway between the meeting house and the Village Barn?
Yes. I believe we have traffic signs on here, although that particular message I may have missed, but that's a very good note.
We do have signs at the exit.
Right. Certainly the exit is signed. I think it's not showing on the plan, but I think in one version we have wayfinding signs in this area, and then further south, making sure that it's clear where one needs to go depending on the direction of travel and also the destination of 91 in particular.
So it just strikes me that it would enhance the residential nature of it if the only traffic that was doing that counterclockwise shaped loop in front of the main entrance was drop off and pick up, and not having, there will be people who will come through that two-way street. It seems to be easier if they could just turn left and join your current stream and go out to the exit.
Right. So, and again, I think there's two ways to look at it. I looked at it as if we sign this to tell the hotel guests to leave via Bay Road, if the hotel staff is directing them that way, and if we make it very inconvenient to travel this way, then it's additional encouragement to not drive at all through this residential portion of the property. But I could see an argument either way, and we'll admit that we had some discussions in the office about exactly which way to handle that.
But I agree, Bill. I think what you said makes probably better sense, to have it so that it's maybe the directions are going the other way.
Yeah. Or at least this section could be, and this width, if I'm remembering correctly, is sufficient that we could do two-way traffic in this stretch here.
Which you already have on the other side.
Correct.
Yeah.
To the west.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a good change.
Yeah, I think so. Might have overthought myself there when I was coming up with the best way to do that. But I like
then
this.
Just a question about the color scheme. That for any one of the renderings will do.
Actually, let's go to this one will probably be best.
Okay, so that's what you're going with, a gray palette.
Yeah, it's a gray, a color that currently it reads almost like a white, but it is definitely a gray, and then a bluish gray for the some of the darker elements.
I asked because we did have a situation where someone presented a drawing showing a very nice color palette, and then apparently light blue vinyl was more affordable when it came time to construct. So we do we'll work with whatever you think you want to do, but we're going to hold you to it.
Yeah, we'd be happy if there is some desire to change later. We could come back and get approval for that. But I think these colors are, readily available, fairly traditional in nature, and not, not a vibrant color by any stretch.
I have no objections or reservations about this, as long as we're clear that what we see is what we get.
Sure.
Within the limits of what ink can produce versus the final thing.
Sure.
And we plan on using similar, if not like the same type of material that we used on the new hotel. So we're not going to be using like a panelized vinyl system. It's going to be some type of an engineered plank type product. So it's going to present in a better way than, let's say, vinyl siding, light blue vinyl siding, which I fully understand.
It wasn't even the light blue; it was the fact that wasn't what was promised.
Yeah, no, we're planning. Our goal is to make this, especially that it is on Route 9. It is a residential building. We want people who stay there to be proud of the building. So that our goal is to make it be aesthetically the best that we can make within reason.
Is this area subject to the historic colors or no?
Yes.
It is, okay.
And
So
the
we
colors of
won't,
proposing are within the palette.
so we won't see any pink or chartreuse or anything. Okay.
I'd say no to that.
Mm.
I
Or
tried to get
affirmative.
Dan to do lime green, but he vetoed.
Yeah.
Did I miss the number of affordable units that were going to be proposed? I know you had 50 units of overall.
Yeah, we didn't, I didn't include that in the presentation. In the application, we did state clearly that the intention is to comply with the requirements of the zoning for the inclusion of the affordability.
And that's 15%.
If so, okay, you will comply with that. Okay.
On that south elevation on top, going over to the left, there's the darker color. I'm sorry, they both say south, so the upper
Oh,
elevation.
okay.
There's is that a stairwell to that one? Yes. And
Yeah, that
what-
vertical
what
element
material
is
that?
is the egress stair. That's going to be the 4-inch reveal, clapboard, but with a
Okay.
darker gray color there.
Okay.
That's the vertical access fire escape, but also access to the roof behind that.
And is this is vinyl siding?
No, it's not going to be vinyl. We haven't decided on a final product, but no, it'll some sort of probably a composite.
Like a Hardy or something. Okay.
Hardy, or there's a few others now on the market, competitors. But yeah, similar to Hardy.
Thank you.
Well, Jim, do you have any comments? I have a couple more, so.
Go ahead.
Okay, water and sewer. For example, it appears that Scott McCarthy, you said there's no problem with water and that you're only going to have a 3% increase. However, in the last 4 out of 5 years, our town has had a water ban in the summer, and people who have to water their lawn, they can't even water their lawns now. So I wish we would have something a little bit more statistically valid as to how much water will be used gallon wise and how it will truly affect the town and its ability to not have water bans. So that's number one. So when you come back next time, we'll probably have a little bit more.
I can answer that right now.
Okay, go ahead.
That the water bans are not due to the town's water levels. They're mandated by the state. The state determines when we are in the drought, and the water bans are not anything that's imposed by our water usage or the condition of the town of Hadley's water supply. It's purely based on what the state mandates all of the areas when they determine that we are in a drought stage.
So I can water my lawn then, and I wouldn't be aware of any penalties?
I don't believe that's true, but what I'm saying is that those two things are not related in the sense that our water supply is not impacted by our usage. It's not, they're not related to each other. The bans, the bans are determined by the state, not by the DPW, because we were consuming too much water.
Right. So for every public water supply, based on pumping tests of the well, Mass DEP has a limit of withdrawal that may happen on the average day. That's the regulatory limit of the water that can actually be withdrawn. The water bans are put into place based typically on flows of natural waterways when they get too low, which is not directly related to the ability of the well to produce water. I will admit that I don't know all of the gory details, but I believe it's as much about the environmental impacts to the natural waterways as it is about the direct impacts on water supplies is why those go into place, and also why they turn off sort of in the winter, even though but that they're seasonal and they don't necessarily apply, even though by flow rate they through the natural waterway they may trigger it.
The only concern I have about that statement, it sounds reasonable, but nevertheless, towns like Sunderland do not have a water ban. Whately, Hatfield, Amherst has a water ban every time the students come back in September, because we all recall the time when there was not enough water, and somebody said, "Oh, now they have enough water because they're hooked up to the Hadley water supply." So this is a little bit more involved than so we don't want to continue down that road. But I have another question on this.
I just want to add that I spoke with Scott about why these water bans and why these water bans were in place. And he has always told me that all the water bans in Hadley were not imposed by him or by any other reason other than the fact that the state of Massachusetts has said that we are in a drought condition. I also spoke with a wetlands engineer who I discussed with this on an informal basis, and he said that it's also kind of ridiculous for them to impose these water bans when we're nowhere near at risk for running out of water.
Yeah, related to that, the water ban does not come with any change to the permitted withdrawal rate from the well, which is what Mass DEP also regulates. So they don't tell you that the town has to lower its ceiling of what it's allowed to withdraw, but it does feel the need to tell the citizens that they can't use water in particular ways.
Yeah, I bring this point up not just because of this particular project, but there are many projects that are going to be facing us in the next probably 6 months that we're going to have to address. So water evidently is no problem. Now, number two, sewer capacity. Some of the figures that I hear and have read is that we're at 80 to 83% sewer capacity, depending on when it's measured, when the students are back or when the students are not back. So how is this going to, I would like to know how our town is going to, there is some movement afoot to hook into the Amherst sewer line on Route 9. Not, this project will not be included, but are we in trouble with 80% of capacity of sewer? And if we continue building more apartments like this, will eventually we run into a serious problem like Amherst ran into many, many years ago. So,
well, I think we've answered that question when we've reached out to the DPW, who's the subject matter expert on your question, and they've told us that this is not at risk and they don't see this as impacting the sewer treatment facility.
Yeah,
So,
and as I understand it, that's based on periodic studies that they're required to hire out to study the status of the system to inform those decisions with data going forward. I don't do those studies, so I don't know the exact details of what goes into those.
I mean, this question was posed to us before, and we went out of our way to ask the DPW director multiple times, more than once, to go and understand the capacity issue. And at no point has he told us that there is any issue. So I feel that we've done our part in addressing this concern. And I believe he has also pointed out in multiple planning board and outside of planning board meetings and in other public meetings that he does not see that there's any type of issue related to capacity at this time.
well,
The fact that the connection to the Amherst has more to do with the fact that they can process this waste at a significantly lower cost than we can because of their cost structure is very different to our cost structure.
Well, I hear a little different story. I hear the fact that we're at capacity, we're gonna be soon at capacity to process the sewer, so we're gonna have a place to put it in. I'm sure Amherst is not gonna give us a break to process at a lower fee. So I'll put that one to bed, but there is a movement afoot somehow, whether the select board starts it or Scott starts it or somebody is starting it, but I keep hearing about this fact that it's going to go from the bike path crossing where the steakhouse is to the east to Amherst. That will be connected to the regional sewer plant in Amherst. So enough said about that. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Again, I would say that I think in terms of us as somebody who's petitioning for a planning board permit, all of those questions are outside of our purview. And I believe we've tried to address them, even though they're not really questions that we have that we can answer or provide answers for. So I feel that we've done our part in addressing those concerns.
And I agree you have, and I still think it's within our purview to make sure that we have the capacity to handle the water, sewer, or even traffic that's going to be, there's going to be more houses coming on Route 9, apartment houses, so we got to be aware. Enough said for my part.
That's it, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, could we go to the waivers you requested?
Yes.
Okay. Building height. The planning board does not have authority to waive or give any relief for building height. So if you want to relief on that, you need to go to the zoning board of appeals.
So I believe I'm going to try to find it right here, but the senior housing overlay specifically wrote that in, and I think it was in the original text. I don't think we changed it. But like I said, I meant to pull that up and I forgot to. Okay, so this is, I can, oh, actually, I have the bylaw right here. So this is 27.5.6.2. The dimensional requirements, the lot or combination of lots upon which a senior housing development shall meet the dimensional requirements in 4.2. The planning board may waive any or all of the dimensional requirements when, in the judgment of the board, such action is in the public interest and not inconsistent with the senior housing overlay bylaw. So it's entirely discretionary, but the senior housing overlay is special.
Okay, 4.2 does have height in it. All right. My mistake. You're correct. All right.
We were very careful about that one.
Okay. Under the waiving of the parking spaces, you're correct. The planning board can waive the number of parking spaces under site plan approval. Not under the senior housing bylaw, but under site plan approval, it has the authority to waive parking to some reduction, provided you have certain criteria.
Great.
Okay.
It's also written into senior housing, but either way.
Building footprint, the specific 12,500 square foot footprint that is under that specifically refers to business uses. We have discussed this one previously, and you are not technically a business use, you are a residential use. So that 12,500 does not apply to this specific situation. Okay.
Wait, yep, hold that thought for 1 second. This is one, let me see.
That's under the village overlay district.
Yep. this was one that was specifically changed. And this is only in the senior housing overlay district. Let's see. I'm I'm hoping that 19.2.9.2 is the section on that 12,500 law. But that may be waived by the planning board upon determination that the appearance of the building is suitable for the neighborhood, taking into consideration setback, shielding, landscaping, and massing when viewed from public ways. But we should refer to this. Oh, there's a link here. I'm going to see what happens when I click that link. If anything. No, I didn't. I had a feeling that wasn't going to work. $19,292.
What was that number again?
So in the senior housing, it's this 27,516, and then this is 19,2.9.2. Which is the and that refers to the statement that talks about business structure. Oh, so I'm sorry, maybe I had your point backwards. Is that the 12,500 limit doesn't necessarily apply? Is that what you were saying?
Okay. Okay, 19.292 specifically reads, let me get to it again.
Sure.
No new business structure shall exceed a footprint of 12,500 square feet. And it says all new or significantly modified business structures in the village overlay center district shall comply with the following, and the 12,500 is one of them. And what we have said as the planning board is that you are not a business. You are building a residential structure, if I'm
Senior
correct.
housing, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that 12,500 does not apply to this.
Although,
Got it. Okay.
although
Sorry.
I'm thinking the reason we also added in this 27.5.16 was to clear up any confusion about whether a residential rental property was a business or not.
So we have, what we're saying is we have the authority to waive it.
We have the authority to waive it. We've covered it a couple of ways.
And sorry, I was interpreting your statement backwards, Jim. I thought you were saying that we had to comply with the 12,500. I think you were saying that it doesn't actually apply. Anyway, regardless.
Leave it alone. You're winning right here, buddy.
Sorry, I'll take the W. Go ahead, next.
All right. Okay. Back to the waivers. All right.
Sorry, engineer, everything's got to be the decimal point.
The size of the community building of 10%. I don't see why we could. I don't know that that's a magic number. Lighting poles. The biggest thing is the spillover effect of the lighting. We have approved, you're being consistent with your lighting in the rest of the parking lot. I do not believe the lighting in the rest of the parking lot is infringing on anything else. So those things should be good.
I would 100% agree. And we're intending to have zero light spill at the property lines no matter what.
Right. Yes. Okay. Just go back up to the other one. I want to make sure we covered it. That's it, right?
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
2 spaces. We can waive parking. We have the authority to waive height by the bylaw. So, okay. Everything that you requested is waivable by the planning board in one shape or another.
Great.
Okay, just want to make sure of that. I don't want to, if we're going to continue this, I don't want to waste your time only to
I
find out,
appreciate
oh,
that.
you need to do this with the ZBA. I want to make sure we've covered your bases to make sure we're set.
No, I think that's great.
Good. All right. All right.
I can jump back to the site if there's
Questions? Somebody else?
Yeah, is there, Chris, could you talk about snow storage?
Yes, I defer to Shardul as to what your SOP is currently.
So if you see the grassy area to the north, that we typically use our loader and store the snow over there between that little strip of asphalt and Route 9. And same goes for the other area, other section of the grassy area over there. Sometimes we do have also more space in the back. So if you go back to the hotel site, Chris.
Yeah, let me flip to a map because I don't actually have a good.
You can see it right there. So right next to there's a storage building to the southeast corner.
Oh,
Or
sure.
southwest corner.
Southwest corner, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see the little kind of dead grassy area where we also have we that area extends pretty far back, so that area we move snow into there as well.
Yeah, this is quite a large area here.
Okay. Thank you.
We specifically bought a loader last year just because of kind of managing the snow on the site.
Yeah, if you can go vertical and store it in a Mount Snow, then you're good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then even further, this is quite a big green area here too.
I've lost your cursor.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to draw a measurement on it so you can see what I'm talking about. If you
Not seeing it on the screen.
no, okay. Oh, you know what? I have this sheet that shows the entire property. Okay, are you seeing my cursor now?
Yeah.
Okay. This area here, which is shown in pink because it's potential reserve parking, this is a large green area in the center of the site as well.
Oh, okay.
But those two areas the area up front is pretty, that green area up front in front of the building is pretty large.
At the left part, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And along the east property line, I assume you've had to tie into existing grades. So you're not adding any drainage onto Eversource?
Correct. And in fact, since I need to run a roof drain line through here, I threw a couple of yard drains in there just to be sure. And all paved areas are captured by the internal site drainage.
And are you adding any sidewalk along Route 9 or can you? Is that does the state have to approve that?
So I very carefully put this on our property to make that connection to the bus stop. There is a little bit of spillover onto DOT. I would like to think they'll have no problem with us choosing to build a sidewalk that connects to a bus stop, but TBD.
Okay. And that has adequate lighting out there from the state?
Yeah, I believe it does. And certainly the bus stop does, and I think it's pretty good there.
you were talking about the appropriate slopes of the roofs. Can you, maybe Mr. Bonham can talk about what the actual slopes are that you used and what the typical that you see in town is? And I mean, I'm hearing you say that if you go down to like a 3 or a 4, it's not going to look as
Yeah,
residential.
correct. Yeah, we're 7 or 8 in 12. You know, really any less steep than that, you start to get that ranch kind of look to the
And
roof.
just for
So,
scale, on our critical roof line over here, the vertical height here is about 15 feet to make that slope work. So that's why I say it's possible to bring that peak down, but
yeah, if we're
be
splitting hairs,
detrimental.
that is the most proud of all roofs. You know, I think we could diminish that a bit, but it does take away from that, you know, fairly traditional 10 and 12 or greater roof pitch.
Have you reviewed these with the fire chief, especially regarding building height yet?
Good point, Jim. I was just going to bring that one up.
Have not, no. Happy
Okay,
to do
I mean,
that.
I wouldn't waive any height requirements until the fire chief says that it's okay. So
Yeah,
Fair enough.
get with the fire chief to review at least some of the basics. Obviously, you're going to be sprinkled and all the rest of the stuff, but make
Correct.
sure that the building height is okay.
yeah, locations of fire hydrants, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to depend how close. I mean, the fire truck can certainly reach the height, but can he reach it from the access point that you're going to have of parking areas? Those are all things he's going to want to know.
Great,
So-
putting it on our homework list.
Yeah. The plans have been circulated to the fire department, but as you may know, there's been a lot going on budget wise and otherwise, staffing wise. So the bylaw technically says if we don't hear back from the fire chief, silence is consent. But under the circumstances, I think we do want to have an
Yeah.
affirmative sign off.
Absolutely.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And also too, peer review suggested an 8-inch main sewer exit line. Having heard some comments from East Street Common that there is some blockage in their sewer, but that's their problem because it's now a private domain. But maybe the 8-inch main would be a little bit more appropriate.
So what I'll say is we're considering doing the 8-inch anyway. For permit, we're proposing the 6, and based on the velocities that we're getting and the percentage full, they're sort of right in line with what you'd want. You don't want a sewer flowing more than about 1/3 full, and that's right exactly where we are on peak. And then our velocities are between 1.5 and 2.5 feet per second, which is just perfect for self-cleaning. So I feel good about the 6-inch if we were to stay with it, but we are absolutely considering upping it now and not having to go back and do something later.
Question on fenestration. Are you proposing the vertical windows to be casement, the horizontal ones to be awning, or do you want to speak to what would be fixed, or is that not yet locked into place?
Not yet locked into place, but what we've been doing with similar projects is something that, you know, it basically appears as a double hung with the 2/2s that you see there, but the bottom window would be an awning and limited to 4-inch opening, so because of the height and the use group. And then, yeah, there wouldn't be any casements, so it would just be a series of awnings on the larger glazed, larger window units. It would be that bottom unit would be an awning. The HVAC system in modern buildings is, there's quite a bit of fresh air introduced constantly as part of the HVAC system. So the requirements for fresh air are much different than what you may be familiar with if you live in a historic home, as I do. But we haven't completely finalized the windows yet. These are strong ideas and viewpoints, but it's not final.
Yeah,
The,
no signage was proposed, or you proposed some or none?
Not on the building. I didn't mention in the presentation, but I did note it in the application. The existing site has a pedestal sign right in that median in the driveway. We'd like to relocate that to the side here to be of the same sort of size and construction that it is today. But we specifically mentioned that would come as a sign package later. We haven't detailed that.
Yeah,
could you go back to the building view?
Mhm.
Showing the windows and stuff. Okay, you've got it broken up with dormers and stuff with those, so that's not bad. Maybe a cupola or here, a John Devine cupola here or there might be an appropriate look. But the buildings you just got plain old double hung windows, and a senior overlay district kind of requests something like some mullions in the windows to make them look a little bit more broken up, if you would. So
Instead of that Mondrian look.
I mean, it doesn't have to. I mean, it can be. I mean, obviously, it can be the fake mullions. It doesn't have to be the real ones. But
Sure.
something that would.
Yeah, and we did consider. Yeah, that's fair to add some.
The windows
mullions to
as
it.
presented look pretty plain and very consistent throughout, with the same old double hung with a center strip on it. So a little bit more breakup of the windows might be a little bit better appearance.
good
And
point.
more in compliance with the senior overlay district. I mean, there are
Okay.
some things you should be complying with in the senior overlay district, and you are complying with, the barn look and all those other kind of things and the colors and stuff. And the windows you may want to consider a little bit different look.
You're
Yep.
right, Jim. It did have an institutional look, so good point.
Yeah, there's a lot of windows, and that's one thing you see if you look at the larger residential buildings. I mean, there's no real precedent that I know of in Hadley of a larger residential building like this, but you might be some type of like a dorm building or a building associated with a hospital or something like that. They're long gone, but they oftentimes would have really one window type throughout. I know that's a little repetitive and is kind of frowned upon these days. That's one reason why we really do have the two
The
primary
village overlay
window
district does
types.
specify types of window appearance.
Yeah.
So you may want to take a better look at it.
Okay. And then we did talk about the cupola, and I think what we felt was that really the Hadley Farms Meeting House acted as a barn type typology of a building, where you would be more likely to have a cupola, where on a residential building you would be less likely to. So we also, because of the height, we've got a 3-story building, which is much taller than really most buildings that you encounter in Hadley, certainly along Route 9. Even some of the biggest buildings there are not this tall. So the gable ends, from a viewpoint perspective, standing on the ground, really anywhere this building is viewed from, those are going to break up that roof line quite a bit. And so we felt that that aspect of the the bylaw was met, having that roof line broken up by those gable ends. Chris, if you go to the renderings, you can see that, I think, a little bit better there.
Lighting, we did talk about the height, but we usually ask for shoebox lighting. Was that talked about? The style of lighting?
Meaning like full cutoff downlights?
Well,
It's a
yes.
dark
Yeah.
sky
Yeah.
lighting.
I believe we even have a provisional fixture on the lighting plan that we submitted, but 100%, the only thing we do these days is full cutoff downlights.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then you can adjust it so you make sure you're not getting the light spill that you don't want.
I wonder, not the whole building, but if you could ease the height of it maybe at the ends or something by dropping that so that those those third story windows might be expressed as dormers. I don't know if that's, I think that would be impractical to do the whole building, but maybe here or there just to kind of break it up. Might give it more and then make it a little less consistent, give it more of that New England farmhouse where you see where it got added on and added on and added on. Just an idea.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Is there any lighting on the exterior of the building for like I'm seeing in that top left, there are people walking along that wider section of sidewalk there. Is there do we know what the illumination is there, or should there be any bollard lighting or?
Yeah, we do have bollard lights. I don't remember off the top of my head if we've got them there.
Okay. Just thinking of elderly people and balance and
for sure.
ice and being able to see black ice, having adequate illumination.
Yeah. I do based on the photometrics we've got now, I've got right about 1 foot candle on that particular sidewalk, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I am seeing though now that I look at this a little bit more closely, I think on our ramp and entrance we're a little low. So I think we gotta send them back to scratch this out a little bit more finely.
And one foot candle, that's kind of the parking lot standard.
1 foot candles is nice illumination without being too bright. And they did a really nice job of making this even. Everything's one is sort of you don't want to go too much lower than that. Everything through the parking lot is 1s and 2s. 2.6 is the highest and like 1.1 is the lowest I'm seeing through most of this site. They did a pretty good job. Now that I'm looking at it very closely, there are a few spots where we could improve a little bit, but
Anything else? Buddy, good for tonight? On this
So
one?
just to recap, we're looking for a fire department comment. Lighting plan update. Window design update. And I think the others have been more or less addressed. The sewer 6 versus 8.
Oh, fire department on the roof.
Fire department, yeah, fire department comment.
Oh, okay.
That was the
All right,
first one.
okay.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, and on the sewer, I mean, what I would say is, if up to us, our permit application would continue to show 6 inches. I don't imagine anybody would be opposed if we came back and said we wanted to replace it all the way out to the street larger. But you know, based on the numbers that I've run, the 6 is adequate. If the planning board wanted to require an 8, then that's in your purview to do, I think, but.
No, the planning board does not want to require that.
Okay.
No, that is beyond our expertise.
We don't
do it.
Whatever the experts say works,
Right.
and that's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
And
If
it's on Shardul if there's a blockage, so.
We don't want to get into, then when you get an 8-inch and the flow isn't enough and it starts to block up the.
There you go.
The credit for it.
There you go.
Oh, the attic area of above the 3rd floor, that's just unused space. Is that the intent?
Yeah, well,
Was that going to be ridge vents or?
yeah, it's vented, but ultimately most of that space is going to be
Okay.
mechanical.
Mechanical, okay.
Yeah, and what you can't see here, it's actually kind of open to the sky above. So all the HVAC condensers and things like that will be up there.
Huh. So how am I not seeing it? It looks like a traditional.
Yep. The roof, the floor depth is greater than the well, if you look, you see there's two forms there in the lower right hand image. So if you, and then they have a hipped roof in between them.
Yep.
So behind that hipped roof is essentially a flat roof with,
Gotcha.
all
HVAC,
the
okay.
condensers up there.
Yep. Okay. Well concealed. Great.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's I didn't invent it. It's a commonly used trick, but good way to hide that stuff.
I guess one other thing, it bringing the roof eave line, like for example, in that image, the north facing, bringing the eave line so close to the top of the windows,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure was not your preferred aesthetic.
Yeah, well, it's twofold. One, trying to keep that roof line down in general, and also keep the pitch that we felt was the right character. But also, if you look at a lot of historic houses, have that very tight relationship with the window head and the eave.
Okay. To keep my eye out for that. Okay. I don't have anything else, Mr. Chairman. Not
Okay.
tonight.
When do you think you could have the information back? Would you be ready in 2 weeks? Or is that too soon?
I am tempted to say, can we put it on at the end in 2 weeks? And if we're ready, we're ready. And if not, kick us to the next one so that we're not in anybody's way. But I think it's just
Could
my
do that.
experience with anything these days is getting anything done in 2 weeks seems impossible.
Yeah, I feel confident that we can, the items that, and the recommendations for, at least for aesthetics and things, we should be able to address them in 2 weeks.
But you don't really have a whole bunch of impossibles. The biggest one's going to be getting together with the fire chief.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to be hopefully it wouldn't be a long meeting, but that'll be up to you, however he views.
Yeah, I think we should be able to do that. He's very good at
Okay.
when
So
contacted.
we will make a motion to continue this to January 20 at 6:45.
Great.
We have one other public hearing that night, which is the Bank of America site plan approval, but I don't think that's going to be a very complicated hearing because they're going to tear a building down and replace it with a slightly smaller one.
Great. Well, we look forward to rejoining you then.
Do I need to
Okay.
second that motion?
I don't think we actually need a motion.
Okay.
We're all in good time on this.
Okay.
So we'll continue this to January 20, 6:45. And thank you very much for a very thorough presentation. We appreciate these kind of things
Yes.
because it makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I
Nice
live
to
to
have
be thorough,
Keyshaw.
Jim.
Nice to have Kishore
Okay.
silent for once.
Um, We do have our favorite 7 Brew continuance to tonight.
Okay.
And is Kayla? Kayla, have you heard anything from 7 Brew?
Yeah, so they're still working out the mitigation and we continue them to April. And if they can't figure out anything by then, I don't really know what they're gonna do, but we have them on for April.
April. Okay, well, let's continue this hearing to, how about March 24th?
May.
That sound good?
Well, if they're not going into conservation until April,
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, well, I was just saying, okay, you want to do it?
February, well, let's see, when is your conservation? The second Tuesday of
We're
April?
second Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, so April
Okay, so-
21st, I think.
April 21?
Yep. I'll make a motion to continue to April 21.
Second.
We have a motion? Somebody second it?
I seconded it.
Mark seconded, okay.
Mark
motion
seconded.
and Second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, roll call,
Done I.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.
Harmar, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes unanimously, very good. I do have 2 bills to pay. First one is to pay the Gazette for legal notice, $508.32.
I'll make a motion to pay the Gazette 508.36.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Motion second, any discussions? That is for the 7 Brew public hearing. And, okay, roll call vote,
Done I.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.
Harmar, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And a second one, this is my mistake. I never put the forgot to request the stipend for our end of December giant paychecks. So the motion to pay the planning board for the quarter ending December 31st, 2025 of $575 total.
I'll make a
Second.
motion to pay.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
I done.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.
Harmar, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Both passed, okay? I have, too late to discuss the zoning bylaws. We'll do that at our next meeting, hopefully. Should not be this long.
Yeah, that was a long opening. It was an hour.
Well, I sent them out today, so you can take a look, but it's basically everything that I sent out today is exactly what we discussed at our last meeting, so
Oh,
just
no.
review it
Yeah.
to make sure that, I put down what we said we wanted. And
Yep.
we'll go from there.
Yeah. I was just saying we had a lot of walk-ins tonight. You know, we didn't start the public hearing till 7:45.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't think it'd be the busy.
I have nothing else.
I have nothing
What?
else.
Anybody have anything? Hearing none? Wow, 9:30, another late one. Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
roll call,
Second.
Done I.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximovsky, aye.